Welcome student to our lecture 6 of the same chapter, that is plant life. Okay, in this lecture, in this video, we are going to study about the seed and its structure. And I hope that you all must have revised the previous lecture, previous videos. Only then you are going to understand what is seed and its structure. Okay, so let's start with this video. Let's start with this lecture. First of all, what is a seed? In the previous chapter, in the previous lecture, in the previous video, if you remember and if you have revised this thing, you must be knowing that after fertilization, first the pollination will take place, transfer of the pollen grain will take place, then the fertilization take place. That means the fusion of the male gamete and the female gamete to form the zygote. And where this all is taking place, this fusion, this fertilization is taking place inside the ovary. What is ovary? Stigma, style and ovary. That is a part of the pistil carpel or the female part or the gynoecium. Okay, so after fertilization, the ovary becomes the fruit. Inside the fruit, there is seed. And what is that seed? Ovule becomes the seed. So what is a seed? A seed is a small embryonic plant. Okay, embryonic plant. What is embryo? Embryo was the when that fusion of the male and the female gamete took place, it changes into the zygote. And that zygote will become the embryo or the baby plant. Okay, and enclosed in a covering called the seed coat, usually with some stored food. Why with some stored food? For the nourishment of the baby plant. Okay, future plant, the baby plant. Okay, again do this thing again. What is a seed? A seed is a small embryonic plant that is enclosed in a covering called the seed coat, usually with some stored food. The formation of the seed completes the process of the reproduction in seed plant. Okay, so now I think you must correlate everything, that fertilization will take place, fusion of male and female gamete will take place, it will become zygote. This zygote will become the embryo or the baby plant, and this takes place inside the ovule. Ovule will become the seed. Inside the seed is the embryo or the baby plant. And what is that embryo or the baby plant? That is the fusion of the male and female gamete. Okay, that zygote becomes the embryo that is inside the ovule, that is inside, and ovule will become the seed, and seed, ovule is inside the ovary, and ovary will become the fruit. So inside the fruit is the seed, and inside the seed is the embryo or the baby plant. That is why it is called as seed is a small embryonic plant. And that ovary wall will become the fruit wall, and the wall of the ovule will become the seed coat. Okay, now you can correlate this thing, that the ovule will is seed is an embryonic plant that is enclosed inside the seed coat. And what is that seed coat? Seed coat, that wall of the ovule. Okay, now next slide. Now we will start with the seed structure. What is the structure of the seed? See, the seed, as when you will see that seed, okay? That is why I have written that external part, okay? By looking it externally, what you will notice, first thing that you will notice is the seed coat, that is the covering of the seed. It is also called as the tester. Okay, it is also called as the tester. And one small scar on the seed, if you can easily examine the bean seed or that rajma, if you have seen, that one small scar is there, black color scar or the white color scar is there, that is the hilum. Okay, and inside the seed is the embryo. Embryo, again, that baby plant or the embryo, and embryo, that zygote becomes the embryo. What is that zygote? Fusion of the male and the female gamete. Okay, so that embryo now is consist of these four parts: cotyledon, plumule, radicle, and epicotyl or the hypocotyl. Okay, this all we will do in detail. First of all, we will start with the seed coat. Seed coat is also called as a testa, that is an external covering. Okay, that external covering of the seed is the seed coat. What is that function? basically, if somebody asks that what is the function of the seed coat, that I think you can tell this answer. It protects the inner parts of the seed. What does covering do? In any case, what is the function of the covering? It always protects the inner parts. Okay, so over here, seed coat, it protects the embryo or the inner parts of the seed. And it can be of varying thickness depending upon the seed type. Sometimes the seed coat is very hard, sometimes this is that dry, papery type, okay, thin. Hilum. Hilum is the scar from the seed. Okay, hilum is a that if you can see it in a kidney, that kidney bean or a bean plant, huh? It's a the hilum you can see on the concave side, okay, that depression, okay, concave side of the seed is a portion called hilum, which is usually called as scar, okay, which signifies the attachment of the seed with the parent plant. This is that portion, hilum is that portion through which the seed was attached with the parent plant. Okay, so it's a type of a scar from the seed which uh, through which the seed was attached with the parent. Now comes the embryo. This is a major portion of the seed. It's very important part of the seed. That is the embryo or the baby plant through which a new plant will be coming out. So the baby plant inside the seed is called the embryo. It consists of what part does embryo have? Uh, okay, so first of all is a cotyledon, then radicle, plumule, and the epicotyl and the hypocotyl. This we have done previously also, previous slides also, but in over here once again. Okay, so embryo is a baby plant. Okay, inside the seed, and this embryo has four main parts: cotyledon, radicle, plumule, and epicotyl and hypocotyl. Okay, seed has two important parts: seed coat and embryo. Seed coat is an outer covering, okay, and embryo is the inner part of the seed. And embryo has four main parts: cotyledon, radicle, plumule, and epicotyl and hypocotyl. One by one, cotyledon. See, a cotyledon is that part of the seed which stores food for the baby plant. Very important function of the cotyledon is that it stores the food for the baby plant. Okay, it is a significant part of the embryo within the seed of a plant. It's a very important part of the plant, part of the seed. Okay, and upon germination, when that seed is germinated, this cotyledon will become the embryonic first leaves of a seedling. Now over here, once very small classification of the seed is also given. Only one type of classification is there in your syllabus, in your course in class 6. Okay. So depending upon the number of cotyledon, seeds are of two types. If there is only one cotyledon, then the seed is called as monocot seed. Very good example of monocot seeds are the paddy, wheat, maize. Okay, and dicot seeds that is having two cotyledon, where there are two cotyledons inside the seed, that type of seed is called as the dicot seed. So if there is one cotyledon, seed is monocot. If there is two cotyledon, seed is dicot. Example of monocot: maize or wheat, and dicot: bean or pea. Okay, all this you have to remember and learn also by heart. Now, the second important part of the embryo is a radicle. Radicle is that part of the seed from where the root develops. Okay, from where the root develops, or we can say that is the root tip of this thing plant. That is the radicle. Radicle is that portion of the seed from which give rise to the root. Okay, in this diagram also you can see this one. Cotyledon is there, outer seed coat is present. This is the typical diagram of a bean seed, that is a dicot. Okay, okay. So cotyledon is there, seed coat is there, and you can see that radicle which will grow downwards and will give rise to the root. Okay, and this thing. See over here, plumule is given. The shoot tip with a pair of the miniature leaf is the plumule. Okay, so radicle forms the root system and the plumule will forms the shoot system. Okay, is it clear to you all? Embryo has four main parts. Cotyledon. Cotyledon stores the food for the baby plant. If it has one cotyledon, then it is monocot. Two cotyledon, then it is dicot. Very, very significant part of the plant. Okay. And then radicle, which forms the root system of the plant, and the plumule, which will form the shoot system of the plant. Okay. From root, it will grow downwards. It will form the root. Plumule will rise upward and it will form the shoot system. And cotyledon will give rise to the will store food for the baby plant. Epicotyl and hypocotyl, it is also a basis for the plant stem. See, if epicotyl means the portion of the cotyledon which is above the cotyledon. If it is above the cotyledon, that portion is called as epicotyl. And the portion which is below the cotyledon is called as the hypocotyl. Epi means above. Hypo means below. Coty means cotyledon. Epi means above the cotyledon. Hypo means below. Coty means cotyledon, below the cotyledon. The portion of the stem which is above the cotyledon is the epicotyl. The portion of the stem which is below the cotyledon is the hypocotyl. Okay. Now if you have understand the seed structure, the next portion that we are going to do is the germination. Germination means how the baby plant is coming out from the seed. Okay. Germination is a process of formation of a seedling from the embryo. Now, pollination over, fertilization over, seed formation is over. Now, what is left? Germination. Germination means the baby plant is coming out or the seedling is coming out from the embryo. Okay. What is germination? Germination is a process by which a plant grows from a seed. That means a baby plant, a seedling is coming out from the seed. It is an emergence of normal seedling from the seeds. But for this thing, for germination, some conditions are required. What are those conditions? Proper light, proper temperature, moisture, oxygen, and nutrients are required. If all these conditions are provided to the seed, then only the baby plant or seedling will emerge out from the embryo or from the seed. Okay, or we can say that germination is an emergence of radicle and plumule through the seed coat. Seed coat will burst out, that outer covering, tough outer covering testa will break open, it will break off, and the embryo will give rise to the root, shoot, and the leaves. Okay, what are the requirements for the germination, which is all there in your syllabus course? First is the water. Water is a very, very important condition that is required for the germination of the seedling. Then suitable temperature and air. Okay, so one by one we will do. First of all, water. Water helps the seed. Why water is a necessary condition for the germination? Why water is required for the germination of the baby plant? Because water will help the seed to swell, and as the seed will swell, the seed coat will burst open. It will come out. It will burst open. Okay, it will explode off, so that as the when the seed will burst open, seed coat will burst open, then only the radicle will come out and the plumule will come out. Radicle will form the root system and the plumule will form the shoot system. So for the seed coat to burst open, what is important? Water is important. Why water is important? Seed will absorb the water, it will swell up, As the seed will swell up, the seed coat will burst open. And as the seed coat will burst open, the internal part, that is the cotyledon, radicle, plumule, epicotyl, hypocotyl, will come out from the seed. Okay, so first thing that will come out from the seed will be the radicle. That means it will form the root system. And the food stored in the cotyledon or the endosperm is made available to the embryo only when the water enters the seed. That is why the water is very, very important requirement for the seed to germinate. Temperature and optimum temperature means an ideal temperature, and very, very means suitable temperature. Okay, of 25 degrees centigrade to 35 degrees centigrade is needed for the proper germination of seeds. If the temperature is below this, below 25 degrees centigrade, then it will not allow the embryo to grow. And if it is higher, that means if it is higher than the 35 degrees centigrade temperature, then it will destroy the delicate tissues of the embryo and the germination will stop immediately. So a temperature below 25 degree will not allow the embryo to grow, and the temperature higher than 35 degrees centigrade will destroy the tissue and the germination will inhibit or will stop. So what is an ideal temperature for seed to grow? 25 degrees centigrade to 35 degrees centigrade temperature is required for the seed to germinate. Air. Why air is important? For this thing, I think you must be aware of the term respiration. Respiration means the oxidation of the food to give us the energy. When the energy will be there, only then our system is going to work. Without energy, nothing is going to work. Okay, so, and from where this energy will come? That energy will come from the food. How that energy is coming from the food? By the oxidation of the food. How the oxidation will take place? With the help of the air. Air will oxidize the food, will break the food, and while breaking the food, some energy is released. With the help of this energy, the new cells will be formed, new tissues will be formed, and the growth will take place. So oxygen from the air is needed for the respiration of the seed. Respiration of seed means, again, the food that is stored inside the cotyledon will oxidize, will burn out, and the energy will be formed. That energy will be needed for the new cells to be formed, cell division and the cell growth that will actually take place during the germination. As the root is forming, shoot is forming, leaves are forming, new cells, cell division is taking place, new tissues are forming. For all that thing, energy will be needed. From there, where that energy will be formed? That energy will be formed only when there will be oxygen. Oxygen will burn the food, will oxidize the food, and energy will be given out. That energy will be utilized for the cell growth and the cell division. That is taking place during the germination. Now, at this stage, I think we are able to distinguish or classify two types of germination. There are two types of germination. One is called as epigeal germination and the other one is called as a hypogeal germination. See, again, epi and hypo. Epi and hypo, the terms we have used in the epicotyl and the hypocotyl. Again, it is coming over here. Epi means above. Hypo means below. Geal means soil. Epigeal, above the soil. Hypo means below the soil. So what is this epigeal and hypogeal? In the coming, see this one. Okay, epigeal germination. First of all, you see the diagram that is given. Okay, that is shown over here. Epigeal germination of a common bean seed. Okay, bean seed shows the epigeal germination. Okay. See, first of all, see that diagram. A radicle is there. That means it is going to form the root system. Then seed coat, that brown colored part is the seed coat. It will burst open and cotyledon will come out. And that green color portion is the hypocotyl. Okay. And radicle is coming out. First of all, the radicle will come out and it will form the root system. After the radicle comes out from the seed coat, the next thing that is coming out is the hypocotyl. Hypocotyl, in this type of germination, what happens? The hypocotyl elongates before the epicotyl and the cotyledons are pushed above the ground. Okay. The seed absorbs water and swells up. Radical grows downwards to form the root system, and it is a very commonly seen in the beans. Okay, see this thing. Cotyledon is epi means above the ground. Epigeal germination means the cotyledons are pushed above the ground. Why they are pushed above the ground? They are pushed above the ground because the hypocotyl is elongating before the epicotyl. If the hypocotyl will elongate before the epicotyl, what was the hypocotyl? Hypocotyl was that portion of the stem which is below the cotyledon. So it is elongating first. So when hypocotyl is elongating first, it will push the cotyledon above the ground. And the cotyledon will come above the ground and it will form the foliage leaves, epicotyl will form. So in this type of germination, the cotyledon will come above the ground. Why the cotyledon will come above the ground? Because the hypocotyl will elongate first before the epicotyl. Okay. Hypogeal germination. Hypo means below the ground. That means the cotyledon will remain below the ground. It will not come above the ground. In epigeal germination, cotyledon was coming above the ground. Hypogeal germination, cotyledon will remain below the ground. Why cotyledon will remain below the ground? Because over here the epicotyl elongates first and it will push the cotyledon to remain underground. If hypocotyl elongate first, it will push the cotyledon above the ground. Then it will be the case of epigeal germination. If epicotyl elongates first, it will push the cotyledon below the ground. Cotyledon will remain below the ground. It will not come above the ground. The grain imbibes the water and it swells up. Radicle comes out through its protective sheath called the coleorhiza and grows down to form the root system, but it dies off soon. New adventitious root comes out from the base of the stem. The plumule also comes out of the coleoptile and elongates to form the shoot system, and it is seen in the maize grain. Now there are two important, very important terms over here, that is a coleoptile and the coleorhiza. What is coleoptile and coleorhiza? Coleoptile, coleorhiza and coleoptile is a protective sheath. Coleoptile is a protective sheath above the plumule, that is covering the plumule. Coleorhiza is a protective sheath that is covering the radicle. So a protective sheath around the radicle is a coleorhiza. A protective sheath around the plumule is called as coleoptile. Coleoptile. Okay. Coleoptile and coleorhiza is present in the maize grain. It is present in the maize grain. So coleoptile radicle will come out from the protective sheath called coleorhiza. It will grow down and form the root system. And coleorhiza, from coleorhiza, plumule will come out and it will grow above the ground and it will form the shoot system, and the cotyledon will remain the underground. Cotyledon will remain underground and the shoot system will die off soon and it will form the adventitious root system. Okay, it is seen in the maize grain. Okay, it is seen in the maize grain. So I think it now finishes off our chapter, and now I think and I must request you all that please revise the chapter thoroughly. Revise from the first lecture. Okay, the leaf, then the flower, then the pollination, okay, then the fertilization, then the seed, and seed, its structure, requirement, germination, what are the requirements for the germination, and the two types of the germination. That please stay home, stay safe, but while you are staying at home, please revise whatever is being given to you. Then only you are going to understand that chapter. Okay, so stay home, stay safe, and please revise all the lectures that is being uploaded in your website. And this finishes off our chapter 1, that is plant life.